What if the biggest stars hide the deepest pain? Danny DeVito just turned 80, but his life story is far from a Hollywood fairy tale. It's a testament to resilience forged in the fires of unthinkable hardship. Imagine being told, as a child, that your own mother never wanted you. For Danny, that was his stark reality. And if that wasn't enough, his home life was a nightly terror. His father, kind by day, turned violent with alcohol, leading to police calls to their house 17 times before Danny even turned 15. But that's not even the most shocking part. For decades, Danny has been concealing a devastating secret, a rare, agonizing condition that makes every single day a struggle. Hollywood offered him millions for surgery, a chance to fix his face, but he refused, famously burning the contract. Now, at 80, the truth about his lifelong suffering is finally emerging, painting a picture of an icon who endured silent agony. Danny DeVito's journey began in Neptune, New Jersey, in 1944, with the odds stacked against him from day one. His mother, Julia, already 40 and with several children grown, openly admitted years later, "I didn't want him, but I'm so proud of him." This kind of confession could shatter anyone, but for Danny, it became an unexpected fuel. That early, sharp sting of rejection never truly left him. He carried it like a shadow through his childhood. Yet, instead of succumbing to its weight, he used it to propel himself forward, determined to prove his worth in a world that seemed to have already dismissed him. His struggles, however, were just beginning. At home, life was a volatile, unpredictable pendulum swing. His father, Daniel Sr., was a beloved, kind man who owned a candy shop in Asbury Park during the day. But as night descended and the alcohol took hold, he transformed into a different person, angry, loud, and often violent. Young Danny quickly learned to read the subtle signs, the clinking of bottles, the shift in his father's footsteps. Sometimes, he'd hide in closets, other times, he'd bolt to the neighbors for safety. Between 1950 and 1955 alone, police were summoned to their house at least 17 times. These deeply traumatic childhood experiences left indelible marks. Years later, he would choose to live a sober life himself and even founded a support program called Little Giants in 1992, which has since helped over 15,000 children from similar turbulent homes find the support they desperately needed. By the age of 14, Danny knew he had to escape. His neighborhood was spiraling downwards, heroin was rampant, and 2 of his childhood friends tragically died before reaching 16. He meticulously crafted a plan. He studied relentlessly, saved $237 from odd jobs, and convinced his parish priest to advocate for him with his parents. His goal was oratory prep school. He timed his request carefully, approaching his parents only when his father was sober and remorseful. His mother, perhaps burdened by the weight of her past rejection, finally agreed. That single decision likely saved his life. Out of 12 friends from that tumultuous period, only 3 survived past 25 without succumbing to prison or drug addiction. But there was another hidden burden Danny carried, one most people never knew about, a rare genetic condition called Fairbanks disease. This was the reason he only grew to 4 feet, 10 inches. Yet, it wasn't merely about his height. It was about the constant, gnawing pain. His hips, knees, and back perpetually ached. Throughout his 20s and 30s, his pain level often hovered around an agonizing 6 to 8 out of 10. Despite this chronic suffering, he never gave up. He insisted on performing his own stunts, even collapsing 4 times while filming One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and pretending it was simply part of the role. He adamantly refused pain medication, even when doctors readily offered it. Quietly, and without seeking any attention, he donated over $12 million to fund treatments for others suffering from bone conditions similar to his, never attaching his name to the projects. He simply wanted to alleviate the suffering of others. Before finding fame as an actor, Danny had another surprising career path. He was a beautician. He trained diligently, completing 1,500 hours and graduating second in his beauty school class. He worked at his sister Angela's salon, aptly named Curl Up and Dye, where he became so skilled that clients booked appointments months in advance. He even won awards for a hairstyle he created called the Neptune Twist. He took the work seriously, even if his initial motivation was simply to meet girls. One day, while styling a client's hair, her husband, a theater producer, suggested Danny audition for a play. That unexpected encounter was the spark that ignited his acting career. Danny DeVito didn't originally dream of becoming an actor. In 1962, he applied to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, intending to study makeup. They asked him to perform a monologue, and despite having no prior acting experience, he decided to give it a shot, performing a scene from The Rainmaker. Something undeniably clicked. They offered him a spot, not for makeup, but for acting. He didn't accept immediately, returning to the salon. But 3 days later, the school called again, offering him a partial scholarship. That second call changed his entire life. A few years later, he found himself living in New York with a roommate who would become a lifelong friend, Michael Douglas. They shared a tiny apartment plagued by cockroaches, barely any heat, and a $75 rent they could scarcely afford. Douglas, discreetly, kept quiet about being Kirk Douglas's son. They subsisted on canned beans and stale bread. One memorable time, they pooled their last $27 to print headshots and hand-deliver them across the city. While Douglas began to book some roles, Danny faced relentless rejection. Yet, their bond remained unbreakable. Years later, Douglas would insist on Danny's casting in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the role that ultimately became his seismic breakthrough. Before that monumental break, Danny endured brutal years in Hollywood. Between 1967 and 1970, he auditioned a staggering 248 times, securing only 3 small gigs that collectively earned him less than $800. To survive, he took on a string of bizarre jobs: parking cars, standing motionless like a mannequin in a clothing store, and even cleaning cages at the LA Zoo for $1.85 an hour, where he would read lines to chimpanzees just to keep his acting skills honed. For a time, his old VW Beetle was his home. He showered at the YMCA and relied on soup kitchens for meals. This period of intense struggle was a story he kept to himself for decades. Hollywood, with its relentless focus on appearance, wanted to change him. Producers and agents urged him to get surgery. Some suggested breaking and lengthening his legs, others wanted to reshape his face. One studio even offered him nearly $1 million in today's money if he underwent these procedures. His answer was a resounding, unwavering no. He didn't just refuse the offers to change his appearance. He famously burned the contract in a dramatic beach bonfire. This was more than a symbolic gesture. It was a defiant declaration that he would not become someone else for fame. His powerful response to a casting director became his guiding principle. I'd rather be a first-rate version of myself than a second-rate version of someone else. This unwavering self-acceptance would define his entire career. Even after his powerful refusal, early roles paid little and came with even more struggle. His first off-Broadway show brought in a meager $25 a week, forcing him to work overnight shifts at a printing press just to cover rent. During that period, he battled a deep depression, nearly quitting acting altogether. His debut film role paid him just over $200, and he contracted pneumonia filming in freezing water. To save money, he even slept in a barn. The weight of personal loss compounded his struggles when his father fell ill in 1972. Danny couldn't be home much, and when his father passed away, it utterly crushed him. He even applied for a postal job, contemplating giving up acting for good. But on the very same day he received that offer letter, the phone rang. It was about an audition for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That single moment changed everything. The pain, the poverty, the constant rejection, it all funneled into that one pivotal chance. And he seized it. In an incredible twist of fate, his former roommate, Michael Douglas, just happened to be the film's producer. Even more serendipitous, DeVito had already honed his portrayal of the character, Martini, years earlier in a stage version. So, when the casting team expressed hesitation, he was already fully prepared, inhabiting the role with a profound familiarity. The movie was filmed inside a real mental hospital, with real patients integrated into the cast as extras, creating an intensely authentic setting. This raw environment undoubtedly helped DeVito infuse his performance with a compelling depth. He was on screen for a mere 5 minutes and 52 seconds, yet his presence left an indelible mark. Director Milos Forman championed him, even when the studio pushed for a bigger name. The film went on to sweep the Academy Awards, winning 5 major Oscars, and while DeVito wasn't nominated, he was finally, undeniably, on the map. Then, in 1978, DeVito made a choice that most people in Hollywood considered insane. He turned down 3 movie roles to audition for a TV sitcom called Taxi. His own agent vehemently advised against it. Everyone in Hollywood insisted that switching from film to television was career suicide. DeVito, guided by an unwavering gut instinct, trusted himself. When he read the script, he knew he had to embody the character of Louis De Palma. During the audition, he didn't just read lines, he delivered a full 7-minute monologue that left everyone in the room stunned. ABC executives, however, were nervous about his short height, just 4 feet, 10 inches. But creator James L. Brooks, recognizing DeVito's undeniable talent, threatened to quit if they didn't cast him. That's how much he believed in DeVito. Danny, displaying remarkable confidence, didn't even negotiate for more money. He signed the contract immediately, even though it paid 40% less than what other actors were earning. And just like that, everything changed. Before Taxi, he had faced nearly 200 rejections in 3 years. Casting directors had repeatedly told him he was too short, too strange looking, too different. But once the show aired, he became an overnight sensation. Within just 8 episodes, he received over 11,000 fan letters, an unheard of volume, especially for a supporting character. Louis De Palma wasn't merely funny, he was nasty, rude, and unapologetically awful, and audiences absolutely adored him. Censors received between 3 to 5 complaint letters every single episode just because of Louis' cutting lines. DeVito, channeling his unique process, would prepare for each scene by sitting alone, silently listing all the people who had ever rejected him. That channeled anger, that raw energy, went straight into the performance, and it resonated powerfully. By 1980, an astonishing 93% of Americans could recognize Louis De Palma just from his voice or silhouette. His dispatch booth, custom-built to match DeVito's size, became one of the most iconic sets in television history. Then came the accolades. In 1980, DeVito won a Golden Globe. A year later, he clinched an Emmy. It shocked everyone. Louis De Palma was far from a typical hero or even a likable character, but people simply couldn't look away. The Emmy win was especially sweet because DeVito had been overlooked during the show's first season. When he finally clutched his trophy, he delivered a memorable, concise speech. "Thank you. I'm really happy about this. Taxi is the best show on television." These 12 words became the shortest acceptance speech in Emmy history. That same year, Vegas betting sites had Jack Albertson as the favorite to win the Golden Globe, yet DeVito beat him. Behind the scenes, some judges initially didn't even want to nominate him, believing his character was too awful to be rewarded. But his win fundamentally changed the landscape of television. It proved that audiences could indeed embrace and love villains, an idea that shaped TV for decades to come. NBC even tried to poach him, offering him an astronomical $175,000 per episode to star in his own show, more than 11 times what he was earning. He declined, choosing loyalty to the Taxi cast. Somewhere amidst all that whirlwind success, DeVito met Rhea Perlman, and their meeting was, predictably, unconventional. She was actually dating DeVito's roommate and had come over to break up with him when she first met Danny. They talked for 6 hours that night. DeVito later quipped that he knew within 22 minutes that he wanted to marry her. A year later, Perlman joined Taxi to play Louis' girlfriend. The producers, unaware of their real-life romance, simply marveled at their incredible on-screen chemistry, assuming it was just brilliant acting. They secretly moved in together after only 2 weeks, cramming into Danny's tiny 450-square-foot apartment. Even after their marriage in 1982, they maintained separate dressing rooms on set to avoid any perception of favoritism. What most people don't know is that they were also building something significant behind the scenes. In 1983, they quietly launched Jersey Films, their own production company. They worked on it at night and on weekends while still filming Taxi. Over 40 years later, they've collaborated on 17 projects and even established a unique rule: they'd never go more than 2 weeks without working on something creative as a team. Once Taxi concluded in 1983, DeVito achieved something most TV actors couldn't pull off: he successfully transitioned to film. That same year, he landed a role in Terms of Endearment, which went on to win Best Picture at the Oscars. In 1984, he stole scenes in Romancing the Stone, a film that grossed over $115 million on a mere $10 million budget. He then reunited with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner for the sequel, The Jewel of the Nile. Around the same time, he strategically took a smaller role in Johnny Dangerously just to maintain visibility on screen. He was making shrewd moves, stacking up film credits while steadily building momentum. But it was in 1986 that he fully embraced his villainous side in Ruthless People. He played a greedy man who refused to pay ransom after his wife was kidnapped, and audiences absolutely adored him for it. The movie, costing $7.5 million, raked in over $71 million, and DeVito earned a Golden Globe nomination. His performance was so wildly memorable, it became the undeniable centerpiece of the entire film. He wasn't afraid to be hated, and that bold confidence opened even more doors. In 1987, DeVito made his directorial debut with Throw Mama from the Train. He confidently told the producers he would only act in the film if he could also direct it, and he won. The filming locations were meticulously chosen across Los Angeles. He even attempted to secure Brian De Palma for an appearance, but scheduling conflicts prevented it. Anne Ramsey, who played Mama, performed many of her own stunts, enduring surgery and bruises, yet remaining undeterred. The climactic train scene, a 6-day shoot, was filmed using a private track in Valencia. The movie garnered DeVito critical praise and another Golden Globe nomination. Then, in 1988, came Twins. The idea itself was audacious, pairing DeVito with Arnold Schwarzenegger as long-lost twins. It sounded like a joke, but it surprisingly worked. The two stars, along with director Ivan Reitman, took no upfront salary, opting instead for a risky deal to split 40% of the profits. It was a massive gamble that paid off handsomely. The film made $216 million worldwide, which would translate to over $500 million today. Each man earned an estimated $35 to $40 million. That single movie reshaped public perception of DeVito. He was no longer just a quirky supporting actor, he was a legitimate leading man. He proved definitively that you didn't need to be tall or traditionally handsome to carry a movie, you just had to be exceptionally good. While everyone was watching his acting career skyrocket, DeVito was also quietly building something substantial behind the scenes. He had already directed a TV movie called The Ratings Game in 1984, and an episode of Amazing Stories in 1986, once again collaborating with Rhea. In 1989, he brought back his Romancing the Stone co-stars for The War of the Roses. The story was brutal, hilariously dark, and resonated deeply with many, particularly in Germany, where the title even became a slang term for nasty divorces. DeVito's directorial style, funny, strange, and deeply emotional, truly stood out. Even the opening credits, crafted by design legends Saul and Elaine Bass, signaled that the film was something extraordinary. It wasn't just a hit, it powerfully demonstrated DeVito's ability to balance acting and directing without losing his sharp focus. Then came 1992, a year in which DeVito underwent a complete physical transformation to portray the Penguin in Batman Returns. Under Tim Burton's direction, he committed fully to the method, sitting for hours in makeup to embody the twisted villain, Oswald Cobblepot. It wasn't just a costume. DeVito's portrayal of the Penguin was wild, creepy, and infused with a heartbreaking pathos that captivated audiences. He was even nominated for Best Villain at the MTV Movie Awards. Years later, he revealed he would gladly return to the role if Tim Burton were also back at the helm. But DeVito's ambitions didn't stop there. That same year, he boldly shifted gears, directing Hoffa, a serious, dramatic film about controversial labor leader Jimmy Hoffa. Jack Nicholson played Hoffa, with DeVito directing and acting alongside him, a stark departure from his comedic roots. He collaborated with acclaimed writer David Mamet to craft a movie brimming with powerful speeches, raw anger, and intense power struggles. A single line from the trailer perfectly encapsulated its essence: "We are going to march and get what we came down here for." This was DeVito unequivocally demonstrating his ability to tackle big, tough stories with remarkable skill. Also in 1992, DeVito embarked on another significant new venture. He launched his own production company, Jersey Films. This was far from a mere vanity project. He partnered with Michael Schamberg and later Stacey Sher, and together, they built one of the most influential independent studios of the 1990s. DeVito's vision was clear: to discover exceptional scripts and bring them to life on screen. And he did. Jersey Films would go on to fundamentally change the industry. In 1994, they took an enormous risk on a wildly unconventional script. That movie was Pulp Fiction. Quentin Tarantino had penned something dark, strange, and utterly original. When one studio passed on it, Jersey Films championed it, providing Tarantino's company with crucial funding and office space. The entire budget was a mere $8 million, but Tarantino promised it would look like a $25 million movie, a promise he famously delivered on. It hit theaters in October 1994 after a triumphant premiere at Cannes, becoming an instant classic and definitively proving DeVito's unparalleled eye for bold, game-changing cinematic work. In 1996, DeVito returned to the director's chair for Matilda, a heartwarming film based on Roald Dahl's beloved book. He played Matilda's awful father, and cast his real-life wife, Rhea Perlman, as her mother. But what truly made this production special wasn't just the movie itself, it was what unfolded behind the scenes. The young star, Mara Wilson, was dealing with her mother's battle with cancer. DeVito and Perlman extended extraordinary care, treating her like family. DeVito even brought a near-final cut of the film to the hospital so Mara's mother could see it before she passed away. Wilson would later recount how they felt like her favorite aunt and uncle, a testament to their profound compassion. Jersey Films continued its streak of producing unique and impactful movies. In 1999, they released Man on the Moon, a poignant film about the enigmatic comedian Andy Kaufman. DeVito had worked with Kaufman years earlier on Taxi, and this time, he played Kaufman's manager, also helping to produce the film. Jim Carrey delivered a transformative performance, completely embodying Kaufman. Critics largely praised it, but it struggled at the box office. Still, DeVito stood by the movie, prioritizing the integrity of the story over commercial success. Despite immense success, Danny DeVito privately battled Fairbanks disease, a rare bone disorder causing constant pain. Hollywood urged him to hide it, but in 2025, he finally spoke out, advocating for better care for others with debilitating conditions. In 2015, he and Rhea Perlman sold their Grand Beverly Hills home, marking the end of a family. While they separated in 2012 and permanently split in 2017, they never divorced, maintaining a close bond. At 62, DeVito joined It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia in 2006. His outrageous physical comedy revitalized the show, boosting ratings over 200%. He often pushed through severe back pain, undergoing intense therapy for filming, embodying his mantra, "At my age, vanity is just another word for missed opportunity." In July 2023, he quietly donated $500,000 to his birth hospital in New Jersey, a heartfelt act of giving back. DeVito's outspokenness on politics and disabilities, particularly his own Fairbanks disease, has reportedly rubbed Hollywood insiders the wrong way, leading to rumors of lost roles and pressure to look more normal. This raises a pertinent question: what is the true cost of honesty in showbiz? In May 2025, a Jimmy Kimmel Live interview turned into a viral firestorm when DeVito abruptly left the set after a heated argument. He later posted, "I stand by everything I said. Sometimes the truth isn't easy to hear," sparking rumors of a quiet blacklisting. Despite the controversies, DeVito, at 79, remains a vibrant force, producing a new DOCU series and continuing his iconic role on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, proving his enduring appeal and defiance of conventional norms.